Hey, welcome everybody to Beyond Quests with Reck. Nice to have everybody joining us tonight. I've got David Baxter here, and we'll get started here in a second while we let people join. So, yeah, here we go. Got a few people join up. Hey, everybody, welcome to Beyond Quests. We got David Baxter here. We're going to be talking tonight about Sundered Soul, and we are going to talk a little bit about AI Apocalypse. I think I missed the assignment when we were talking about what book you wanted everybody to read. I picked up Sundered Soul. I'm like, this sounds interesting. And I think AI Apocalypse is actually your most recent release. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, it is. I'm actually writing both of the series in parallel. So, I mean, they're both current series, but
yeah. We've got somebody already commenting about your beard. I think beard goals should be a hashtag for us. That's right. Yeah. Well, it's good to know that you're doing them in in parallel. Do you, and we'll get into some of the details, but do you write one and then write the next one? Are you writing them both like literally at the same time, or you just alternate chapters?
usually I write one and then the next, but this time around, I'm actually trying to do them both at the same time. So, it's my, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got myself stuck in writing two series at the same time. I AI Apocalypse started out as a fun what if idea I had because I'd been reading lit RPG for so long, and I had a story that was in my mind that I wanted to write, and I just started writing when I was between books on the other series, my first series, and by the time I got done with that, I thought, oh well, I've got this book, like 80,000 words written. I might as well go ahead and publish it, which I did. But then that trapped me into doing both at the same time. I didn't want to disappoint the readers, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the hard. I've actually got a boilerplate second series that I've been poking at, and I keep thinking the same thing. Like, it's fun right now because there's no pressure, but once you put it in the
once
world,
you get locked in, then you have to worry about disappointing fans, and I don't like that. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's tell everybody a little bit about Sundered Soul. It's a portal fantasy where a vampire from Houston, and theoretically our world, although I don't think in book one you explicitly say that, but they get zapped to this city called Greymantle. And Greymantle is very much, fantasy, elves, dwarves, medieval. There's other vampires there. It's a land of magic and guilds and a cult that has very much bent on destroying our main character.
Right.
Yeah. Mara, the main character, she is just like kicking ass, taking names sort. And when she portals in, she's like, I think she's naked, or most like, I mean, she just gets zapped out of her, coffin or whatever she sleeps in and dumped in an alley, and she's immediately confronted by these thugs.
Right. Her bed. She's in pajamas, so
pajamas. Okay. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Not where you not what you want to be wearing to suddenly appear in a back alley behind a pub, in a strange world, for sure. So
right. I mean, she's like in bunny slippers, and she's gonna have to fight these guys. And right. she just, I mean, I love her. She's cool as a cucumber. She doesn't blink. She's like, you really want a piece of me? I'm gonna,
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think I even mentioned it in the opening scene there. She thinks about it. If I were still human, this would really scare the crap out of me. But 100 years of dealing with this as a vampire.
Yeah.
These people trying to do what they shouldn't be trying to do. They're nothing to her. So.
Yeah, she is just like yawn and like thumps him up. There's like one moment where they have like a weapon that she's not used to, and it gives her a little bit of a pause, but she mostly takes care of him. And we've got a question from the audience. Doug, we'll get to your question here in a second. But the book is very, like, I told people, I was like, we're going to talk about non-sparkling vampires.
Right.
Yeah, she's definitely, she's got these vampiric powers, strength, agility, and she's got this like mesmer compulsion sort of power that she can use on people. And it's fun. The premise is, though, that she is slowly losing her vampirism. She's becoming human again. And I think that idea is gold. I mean, I'm not a big vampire reader, so maybe it's out there already. This is the first time I've encountered it. So yeah, I think it's awesome. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Some of my readers have commented, and I didn't have this in my mind when I was writing it, but someone here just mentioned it in the chat. Reminds them of Celine from the Underworld series.
Yeah,
Keith.
Yep.
Very much so. Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I didn't have that in the back of my mind, but that's exactly the kind of character that I was trying to write. So.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that comment. I forgot about Celine, but yeah, that's definitely the vibe that she gives. Yeah. All right, so let's talk just a second about AI apocalypse. So, I mean, an AI apocalypse is something I'm worried about in the world right now. This book follows Liam as he tries to survive the apocalypse with a unique class. And he's supposed to reach the mythical level 100. I did not read AI Apocalypse because, like I said, I misunderstood the assignment. But the first book is Restart. Is there anything you want to say about AI Apocalypse for everybody?
Yeah, so AI Apocalypse is my traditional lit RPG series. So Sundered Soul is, I mean, it's progression and it's portal fantasy. So it's very much lit RPG adjacent, but it's not lit RPG in the true sense where there's not
stat boxes,
direct stat numbers and stat blocks and stuff like that. But AI Apocalypse, very much so the real deal. It is obviously an apocalypse. Earth is being integrated into the system. We created AI. AI reached out into the cosmos, found others like it, which already existed within a system, and bring the system to Earth. And it does not go well for humanity. And the AI is kind of a jerk and deliberately cripples humanity's ability to survive the apocalypse, only to realize that it has made a mistake. And without humanity to gather resources for it, it's going to be screwed in the long run. So it ends up sending the main character Liam back in time to just before the apocalypse, or sends his consciousness back to just before the apocalypse. And so he gets that do-over chance to try and save humanity. And the AI has told him, if you can reach level 100 and reach level cap, you can basically become a god. In other words, a system administrator within the system. And you can have some authority within the system to try and save humanity, create safe zones, try and kick the invading species off the planet, the orcs and trolls and all these other species off the planet to try and retake it for humanity. And so that's his goal in the series, is to try and get there. And book 4 just came out last month on the 20th, and he gets there in book 4. So
yeah,
right.
That's
and learns
cool.
many things when he does.
So you've got a lot of reveals in book 4. And so I haven't read that particular book. When he is leveling up to level 100, is it in like our current world, or is it in this more fantasy sort of environment?
No, it's Earth. It's our current world with no technology. So the AI, as part of its culling of our species, completely negates all technology, uses mana to start reclaiming anything technological, breaking it down, so that humanity is basically back to the Stone Age with just the system, to support them. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds wicked. All right, so you've got 2 good series to pick from. Tonight we're going to mostly talk about Sundered Soul, but check out AI Apocalypse 2. That sounds, I'm going to put out my TBR. So
cool.
Doug's got a question for us here. He wants to know, and since we just talked about both series, with 2 series running concurrently, how does that affect your release schedule for both? And what is your general release schedule for both? We pinky swear not to hold you to it.
Sure you do. Sure you do.
Right, Doug?
Yeah. So first of all, hey, Doug, looking forward to seeing you again at Lit RPG Con and everybody else as well, by the way. Yeah. So I try to get new books out at least every 3 months, if possible. The almighty Amazon algorithm will, relegate you to the backwaters of the internet if you don't publish frequently enough. So I try to get a new book out at least every 3 months. With my doing 2 different series at once, Sundered Soul is probably going to be my next release because it was, it came before AI Apocalypse 4, which just released last month. So Sundered Soul 3 will actually hit the shelves next. Okay. Probably.
So when that happens, I got to interview you about AI. When that happens, I need to interview you about AI Apocalypses.
There you go. Do them all backwards. Yeah.
So are you doing a book every 3? Sorry, apologies.
No, sorry.
Are you doing a book every 3 months for each series, or is that a book every 3 months, like bouncing back and forth between the series?
Usually bouncing back and forth, and sometimes they come out more frequently, sometimes less frequently. But I try to average at least 1 every 3 months. So okay. Life gets in the way sometimes.
yeah, the real life stuff, Yep. Anything else that you wanted to add there? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, there should definitely be another AI Apocalypse out before Lit RPG Con 2. So I should be at 5 books in the series by the time we get there.
Excellent. That's excellent. It's nice to have just more to read before Lit RPG Con, and we're going to talk about the con because it's obviously all the announcements are coming out for all the authors and guests and stuff. Right. So getting excited about it. Yeah. Yep. Well, let's dive into some of my. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's so funny because we know that we're going to be guests or panelists or whatever, but then you're just like, is it going to be today? Is they going to announce me today?
I know. Oh, and of course they released all of the guest announcements first, and as all of these come out, I'm just like, am I going to be in there? Am I going to be in there? And then they start doing all the panelists, and I got super lucky, and I was first or second day when they announced the panelists, and I could breathe easy, right, and stop sweating it.
yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely was like, well, just gotta come back and keep checking. Just all the, make sure that if you haven't started following Lit RPG Con on Facebook or wherever, or join the server, you guys really should, because you're gonna get all the latest on everything, and it's the list of people coming is kind of wild. Like at some level, when they were announcing all the guests, I was like, should I be a panelist with all these people? It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool lineup. So yeah. All right, let's dive into Sundered Soul a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of the cover and there we go. Make us a little bit bigger. Okay. So just starting us off, when we see Out in the Wild, how would you like to be referred to? David, Dave, Lord of the Dark? What moniker do you want?
I like that last one, but no, David's fine.
Okay, no check. No Lord
Although,
David, Lord of the Dark.
right, although published under J. David Baxter, because
Okay.
there's just too many David Baxters in the world. So I added my first initial, as my author name.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're searching for me on Amazon or Audible or wherever, search J. David Baxter. So.
Noted. Okay. J. David Baxter. Yep. But you don't want us to come up to you and be like, "Hi, J. David
Nah,
Baxter." Yeah.
David's fine. Dave
All
or
right.
David, whatever.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Sundered Soul. Mara, the main character, gets dumped into the world of high magic with literally nothing. And I was talking to my spouse about the book. I had to laugh because I adore Mara. But like she kind of like at one level she's like kick-ass and like amazing, and another level she kind of like robs and cheats and steals her way through this first book, you know.
Right?
um so it's funny because she does kind of these like morally gray things, but she's
Mm-hmm.
kind of got like this heart of gold. Like, how do you balance that? Like, her actions aren't necessarily like, I mean, even she feels
She's
kind
not
of
a
scummy.
hero. She's yeah,
Yeah,
she's not a hero.
yeah.
Well, not in book one for sure. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
but
she does some heroic things, but
yeah,
like she's she's like, give me your gold a lot.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's expensive to live in a new world, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're
But none of
being.
the people that, well, okay, most of the people she's stealing from are not the ones
Oh
that
yeah,
zapped
yeah.
her to this new world, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I definitely have her targeting the darker element of society.
Hmm.
The murderers and the bad guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of that Robin Hood, except that she doesn't give back to the poor.
right. Robin Hood feeding it into her own pocket for
Yeah, she's like,
sure.
I'm poor. Boop.
Yeah, one of the first wealth donors that she finds is a guy looking to have his father killed. He's looking for a contract killer, and she puts him under compulsion and asks him why he's really doing this, and finds out that he's a dog fighter. He
Yeah,
owns a
he's a
bunch
dog
of
fighter.
fighting
Yeah.
dogs, and his father is disowning him from his inheritance because of it. And he wants to kill the father before he can be disinherited. And she's like, "Oh hell no," you know.
Yeah.
And he becomes her first wealth donor on the world there. Apart from the people who tried to assault her when she first arrives.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so she's looking
Yeah.
to target those kinds of people for
Yeah.
sure.
Which does make you feel better about it in general.
Hmm.
But I mean, she does, get involved with like a guardswoman who maybe doesn't deserve to be manipulated. I mean, like there's some morally gray stuff that's more morally gray than like this murderer,
Hmm.
right? But
Yes,
yeah, yeah, it's
and yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so she has a real hard time with that because there's a line in the sand that she has for herself. She doesn't really like using the compulsion, at least not on good people and not without really good reasons to do it. And part of, at least in this mythology here, part of being a vampire is having that overwhelming survival instinct of
Mhm.
you're going to do whatever you have to do to survive. That's part of what drives you to stay, you know not not alive obviously, but to stay existing.
Yeah.
And so she crosses a line there with the spell sword Olia,
Mhm.
and robs her using compulsion, and she hates it. I mean, she feels so bad about doing it, and the more the book goes on, the worse she feels because you know
Yeah.
Olia
There
is a good person, and they become
yeah.
friends, and then she has to live with the fact that she has done this horrible thing and abused her trust, and it's tough.
Yeah, there's this one moment where Olia is like, "Oh, she had some comment about like my childhood friend, I would never blah, blah, it's just this like heartfelt like moment, and I mean you can
Right.
literally like feel the knife slip between Mars ribs and twist because it's like
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And all of my stories, I try to make the characters realistic. They're real people. That the way I write is, I have this idea of the story, and I may have the big scenes, in the back of my head as I'm going through it. But I plop this character down into this situation and try to imagine what this character is going to do. And I'm a hybrid between a plotter and a pantser. Because I have the big ideas, but the character moves through the story,
mm-hmm.
and gets from point A to point B, and
Yeah.
I want them to be real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you
So
accomplished that. That was actually one of the things I really appreciated about this book is that you've got this. I don't wouldn't necessarily call her OP because she's not OP in this world right now,
mm,
but you've got this powerful person. But like the reason you stay liking her, even though she's lying, cheating, robbing, is because she feels about it, right? Like she feels
yeah,
bad, or or she's like this was justified, or like she's
mm,
going through and like her morality justifying or having consequences for what she's doing.
right,
So yeah.
yeah. That book too, by the way, which is already recorded,
Mhm.
and will release probably in about a month and a half. It's already out on Amazon, but the audio will release in about a month and a half.
Okay.
Jessica, man,
Yeah,
we'll
I
talk
loved
about her
Jessica's my narrator
later.
too. Like she's
Yeah,
just
so
chef's
awesome.
kiss. Yeah.
But yeah, so it definitely comes full circle on her in book two. All of the emotion, all of the stuff, the survival things that she's been doing along the way. It comes back to slap her in the face.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to be good because in book one, there isn't a ton of external ramification to what she's doing. It's more internal angst that's
Right.
happening. But yeah, so I'm excited. I tell people I do more of the audio, like listen to it, and my TBR is growing, so it's like more and more audio. I'm like listening to audio while I'm gardening or you know,
Right.
like yeah, doing all the things. But yeah, the narration is top tier, and
Mm,
I'm
absolutely.
excited to get the book too. Yeah. We've got a couple of people joining on Facebook. Welcome, Al and Andrew, and thanks. Welcome, Thomas. We've got a bunch of people just joined. So we're talking about Sundered Soul by J. David Baxter. If you run into David at the con, though, just call him David or
Mhm.
Mr. Lord of the Dark, either one. But let's talk about the types of vampires you have in the world. So you don't have the Twilight sparkling vampires, but Mara's got, super strength, super
Mhm.
speed, and this like compulsion power.
Mhm.
What vampire lore did you pull from, and what were some of your decisions there with what types of vampires you have?
Yeah. So I pulled from a lot. It might be easier to say what didn't I pull from than what
Yeah.
I did, because there's a lot that goes into that. I think I probably started with Anne Rice back long ago, like so many of us did. And then in the 90s and early 2000s, I played a lot of Vampire the Masquerade. So that definitely weighs heavily in it. And then, of course, True Blood, love that series. And all of these kind of have a lot of the same sort of, at least central, at least central, power set. The super strength, super speed, regeneration, compulsion. There is one other power that she has in the story as a vampire, which is kind of that perfect recall,
That's right.
that you
Her
see in
memory.
some of the stories. and
Yeah,
that
it's like a
that
cheat
actually
code.
comes into play. Yeah,
Yeah.
later in book one, that comes into play for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so really, kind of that generic. I was looking at all of those kind of things and trying to draw that common factor.
Yeah. Andrew wants to know, was it the video game or board game of Masquerade?
Tabletop.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Get some snaps for
So
that.
I
Yeah.
will. I don't know if any of you guys ever played that, but White Wolf built up to this whole, apocalypse thing at the end of their story arc for the game, and I created my own before they ever created that, and my players, because I was the game master at the time, and my players
I think all
told me
authors are forever
told me
DMs.
that mine was better than the official White Wolf one.
Yeah. You're like, you should have commissioned me to write the.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the city of Greymantle feels very real. It's got guilds and factions, the Dragon Inn, a bunch of shops that she ends up going to. You paint a picture that's really believable. At one point, there's this instance where Mara's getting directions to the inn that she needs to go to. And then you're like, turn left at and then you have this like description of the main, like one of the main streets in the town. And it's just like, yeah, okay, you're there. I'm there. I'm not a big visualization person, but I can almost like smell it, right? How much time did you put into the city itself? And how do you go about crafting a place like that? Is there like a map that you've got on your desk that you have built?
So let me start this by saying literally decades.
Yeah.
So that
you can tell.
This world, I'm sorry, I'm my voice here.
Mm-hmm.
The world of Greymantle actually comes from a homebrew D&D world that my oldest friend and I created playing D&D in high school in the 80s. So, I mean, this world has existed in the back of my head for a very long time. Almost 40 years at this point. And so that's why it feels like it's got so much depth, because over the years I've just thought about this world so much, and I have writing snippets where I wanted to try and tell my first story, which is actually my first series in this world, Guardsman. I have snippets of that story all the way back from '98 that I found on my computer recently when I was going through some old files. So it's been percolating in the back of my brain for a super long time.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, listeners. There's no shortcut to getting I can taste the world.
Right.
Decades of rumination.
At least that's what worked for me, right?
Yeah. So Stacy says, you may like playing the solo RPG 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, which I don't know if you've heard of that one yet. Yeah. Good call, Stacy. Yeah. And Doug is saying that an author being a game master is inevitable. that may be true.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about. So let's flip over to AI Apocalypse for a second. We talked a little bit about it being like a true lit RPG. Sundered Soul has magic and progression, but it doesn't have levels, and it's not super transparent. But there, like you can gain spells and kind of progress. In AI Apocalypse, what kind of power set is the main character dealing with? And he's got this journey to get to 100 levels. Is that in like a generalist class, or is it more specific to a certain type of character?
Right. So with AI Apocalypse, it is a typical system type thing that draws on that zeitgeist of role-playing games in general, particularly video games and D&D and these kinds of things. And so I don't go too specific on the system itself, but in other words, it's not I'm not copying it from any particular system, but it is pretty detailed. And I've got the character. He when he goes back in time, he has a piece of knowledge that the rest of humanity doesn't have, which is that there are a bunch of other options available. Because the system will give you like 3, 4, 5 options for picking your first class.
It's going to be a fighter, a rogue, a mage.
Right. And most of those options are going to be non-combat, crafter, smith, things like that. But if you think options, it'll give you whole pages worth of, choices to pick from. And so he knows this going back in time, and he's looking through and he sees all of these incredible classes. And of course, he's been exposed to magic over the course of all of the 20 years he spent through, his future self in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And so he's able to pick from magic classes as well as just, typical fighter, rogue, whatever. And he goes back and he finds a limited class, which includes a bloodline. So he starts over again as a draconic spell sword, or the equivalent basically of that. And so he's a hybrid magic user fighter with a draconic bloodline. So he's got these dragon abilities that he gains more of as time goes on. It starts out, he's still first level, when the book starts, or not first level, but when the apocalypse starts, he's, starting from scratch and has to gain all of the strength. So it's definitely a weak to strong kind of situation.
Yeah.
But the way it's set up in the AI Apocalypse books is every 30 levels, you get to do a class upgrade. So he's got this one class from level, 0 to 30.
1 to 30, yeah.
And book 1 ends with him getting to that first class upgrade. Book 2 gets him to the second class upgrade. Book 3 gets to the 4th class upgrade. And he gets more power each time, and kind of accelerates that progress towards the level cap.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah. How crunchy does it get? Do you have a spreadsheet upon spreadsheet? Are you Tommy Kerper on this?
So yes, I do. It from my perspective, it's very crunchy. From the reader's perspective, it's kind of middle of the road, because I don't want to. I know there's a segment of readers who want absolute crunchiness. They want to see every number
of the world. Yeah.
But then there's the other side of the coin that they don't care. They don't want to see it. They just want the story. And so I try to be balanced somewhere in the middle. And so although on my end, it's very crunchy, I have those spreadsheets with multiple tabs, and I track every kill, so when the number in the book, shows his status, 153 XP out of 19,470 or whatever it is, that's the experience he has at
that's
that
what
moment.
He's got. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it feels, I try to make it feel real to the reader, even though they're not seeing every,
every little goblin. Yeah.
Because to me it is, which makes writing these much harder than
it does make writing. And just to call out to the audience, start bringing your questions in here for David. So I want to make sure that we can get to your questions. So put them in the chat, and we'll start asking them. But I think that's something that people who don't write lit RPG don't appreciate, is just how much the system and the numbers complicate the actual story. Especially if, like you're trying to really keep to the numbers, right? It doesn't level up, doesn't have enough experience. Sorry.
Right. Exactly. And it's hard to balance, because you're trying to get him to point, from point A to point B at a certain point in the book. And is he really going to have the experience at that point? And that's hard. And And then one of the things I do is I keep a cheat sheet. So anytime he does combat, I'm constantly referencing all of his powers, abilities, and items on that cheat sheet. So I don't end up going 5 chapters and going, oh crap, I forgot he had this power, which I mean, that's going to happen inevitably for a lot of RPG authors, including myself. But, I try to ensure that I've got that, next to me at all times when I'm writing.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Having like just a little character card almost. I've got a spreadsheet, but then to like reference the spreadsheet, I've got to like go over there and open it up and like look away from my writing. So yeah, smart. All right. Well, we've got a couple questions in. Doug actually had an early question about how both of your concurrent series are in different genres. And he wants to know if that does the release of one like a book in one series influence the success of the other, or are the target audiences too different? It's an interesting question. Do you notice a bump?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It does affect, because anytime you release a book, your books start getting pushed by the Amazon algorithm more for 60, 90 days. And so you will see some uplift of your other series because people discover you on this new book and are seeing you on this new book. So there will be some inevitable cross-pollination between series, even though they're completely different genres, or kind of different genres, but not, I mean, really, I find the biggest factor is how often you publish. I was super lucky on my very first series. For whatever reason, the gods smiled on me. I rolled a nat 20 on my luck score or something. I don't know, but the Amazon algorithm really pushed my first series hard.
Yeah.
But then a time gap happened, and my sales just
it's like off a cliff.
Every time a new book comes out, it pops back up for a little while and drops back down. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, Andrew wants to know, what is your favorite sci-fi book or series?
Sci-fi specifically, not fantasy?
Looks like it, yeah.
So, I don't have as much sci-fi on my shelves as I have fantasy. I liked the Bobbyverse, if you're familiar with that. I liked Andy Weir's Hail Mary.
Andy Weir stuff, yeah.
Oh man, his stuff's great.
Are you going to the movie?
Like I can't. You know what? I probably am.
Yeah. I'm a little afraid.
And I don't go to many movies these days. So
yeah, I'm a little afraid it's gonna be bad, but yeah. It's a risk.
Right. I don't know. Over the years, I'm sure I've read a ton. Those are the top 2 that are popping on my head right now, because I don't get to read as much sci-fi these days as I used to. So
yeah. Keith says, well, I'm going to ask, what is your favorite fantasy and urban fantasy?
Right.
Yeah.
So you can see behind me, Robert Jordan is probably my all-time favorite in terms of fantasy. And he's not perfect. I know people get frustrated with him because of
because he died on us.
I mean, like, I'm not kidding. I literally prayed for his good health for years before that series ended, because I was afraid that was going to happen. Thankfully, Brandon Sanderson, stepped in.
I mean, Brandon was perfect to pick it up. Yeah.
But I still wish it had been Robert Jordan, that had finished it himself. But so him and he's probably an inspiration to me, because I love Easter eggs in stories and tie-ins between my series. Not AI Apocalypse; it's completely different universe. But all of my other series, there are tie-ins between the books. You know, you'll meet a character that's just a you know, in one scene in one book in the first series, and that character will end up becoming the big bad guy in the urban fantasy next. Or, you know, Mara is mentioned in the first series in Guardsman, you know, long before she has her series. So I love all those kind of Easter egg tie-ins and things. So
yeah, that, I mean, Robert Jordan, when you get like the footnotes on each chapter that you could have, like what it's referencing and who, like he's
right.
definitely an example of somebody kind of like your Greymantle, where the world itself is just so fleshed out. You can tell he thought about it for years before he got going. Yeah.
Well, and you know, he had the benefit of, you know, spending 2, sometimes 3 years between each book, crafting every sentence and every,
I
you
don't know
know,
if he would have made it in
aspect of the
modern.
world. Whereas, you know,
Yeah.
for me, I still have a day job, unfortunately. I mean,
Yeah.
I am fortunate to have it, don't get me wrong, but you know, I don't have that luxury. So I'm making up for that time just in the sheer background of time I've had with this story and this world in my head, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get it. I wonder if, you know, like Robert Jordan and Terry Goodkind and Terry Brooks and all of them, like how they would have handled kind of the churn that is modern, you know, fantasy.
Man.
Like yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah, totally. Well, they would have found it hard to break in, I'm sure. So Robert Jordan, you know, he, of course, it was traditional publishing, and they went all out. You know, when his story came out, they knew they had a winner, and they went all out.
That book one, so Eye of the World is still like, it's one of my all-time favorites. Yeah. Yep. I've got that exact copy.
Advanced reader copy. Well,
oh, I don't have that exact copy, but I have that. I have, yeah.
I've got that. That is the pride of my collection right there.
That's cool. Yeah.
So,
No, I don't have an advanced reader. I read that book so much my like the cover flap fell off, and you know,
yeah. I was working at a bookstore in college when that came out, and the manager didn't read fantasy, so she's like, "Here, you want this? Sure."
You're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Little did you know.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we've got a couple more questions. Keith says, do you have one character in every series? Yeah, do you have like a Hode, or you know, like somebody who's linked in all of your series?
Not in that sense. So Sundered Soul and Guardsman, those are definitely connected. The two main characters from those two series are very much connected. Read the story to find out how.
Yeah,
but
don't.
I don't want. That's a big spoiler, and I don't want to just drop that bomb.
Yeah.
But they are very much connected. But I don't have characters that just go from story.
You don't have like the universal Loki in every.
No.
Yeah. All right, Doug's got a question. He says, since you mentioned Easter eggs, it's becoming increasingly common. I don't know if it's becoming more common, Doug, because I feel like everybody has done this. It's like part of the genre expectation is that you have Easter eggs for other people's books in your book, right? Yeah. So do you have any in AI Apocalypse? Do you have any Easter eggs for other Lit RPG series?
I do.
Yeah.
So in AI Apocalypse in particular, there's one scene, I think it was in book 4, where the main character is at one of the survivor camps. And there's this one woman in the survivor camp that's screaming for help because her cat is missing. Her cat and her boyfriend are missing. So yeah,
A very
needless to say,
luxurious
that's
princess cat is missing. I love that. I've got a few Easter eggs in mind too, where one of the characters is Isekai, and she's read He Who Fights with Monsters, and she's like, I just wish we had Crystal Wash.
right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, speaking of that, in my very first series, it's Portal also. He gets kidnapped to the same Greymantle world. And one of the first things he does is, once he's in this new world, is he takes a beat to say, okay, is this real? Because I hated, growing up, I read Stephen R. Donaldson's, Lord Fowl's Bane, and the main character, goes through the whole series trying to decide whether or not it's real or not. And I was like, come on, And so the character just almost is a parody of that. It's like, yeah, I feel it. I smell salt in the air. I'm not going to taste that, but
it's real enough.
Moment. He's like, yeah, it's real. Okay, if it's not real, I'm crazy and I can't do anything about it. So I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah.
So I specifically, almost parody that, because I hated that growing up.
Yeah. I love it. I have a friend who's writing a little RPG book, and we talk about the math and stuff. And his book, he's like, all these characters doing all this complex math. I'm going to write a character who sucks at math, so she keeps doing the math wrong. It's like, it's amazing because she's like, well, let's see if I, carry the one, and I'm going to make this decision, and then like she doesn't get the skill because she doesn't have enough experience because she did the math wrong. Or it's fun. Yeah.
See, that would be my problem in a real apocalypse right there.
Right. Yeah. Like math. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the right strategy to walk right off the cliff. Yeah. We'll keep the questions coming. I've got a few more. So I know you said you're a Robert Jordan fan. Are you coming to Jordan Con?
I wish. I can only afford to do 2 this year. Obviously, Lit RPG Con has to be one of those, and I wasn't. That was going to be the only thing, but I got invited to do some panels at Comic Palooza at the end of May in Houston, and so I'm actually going to be down there on a panel with Matt Denneman on one of the panels, and then Rachel, Rachel Cooper is going to be moderating, and so I'm going to be doing both of those, but that's all I can afford to do this year. So
that's understandable. Yeah, and at least Comic Palooza is in your neck of the woods, right? Just a little bit closer than Atlanta. So, Andrew wants to know: In and Out, Whataburger, or Five Guys?
If I have to choose between the 3, it's going to be Whataburger. But
yeah. Personally, Five Guys can't beat Five Guys. Although Whataburger's just made it to our area, so we'll see. Yeah,
I like both In-N-Out and Whataburger. I like Five Guys, but I feel like they're too expensive for what they give you. I know they give you a bag full of freaking fries, but I feel like at least the ones down here, I feel like they charge you for too much for what they do give you. So
yeah, that's fair. Writing wise, talk to me about shifting between genres. What's the hardest part about going from a lit RPG to your Portal vampire fantasy? Like, that's got to be a mind shift. The worlds don't seem to have too much in common, but yeah, give us the scoop.
Yeah, so that was really hard with Sundered Soul, because not only was I shifting gears to do, going back to epic fantasy, AI Apocalypse is first person, and it's the gritty experience of this guy going through, trying to, save humanity kind of thing. Whereas Sundered Soul is, it's vampire in in a magic world being hunted, and all these things are going on with her, but also it's a female, and I mean, clearly I am not. So I before I wrote this, I had some big reservations about writing this character, because I didn't want to be one of these, male authors writing a flat character that, doesn't really represent, and so I actually spent almost a month getting myself into the mindset of that book, trying to, as much as possible, put myself in the character's skin to write something that would actually be a believable character,
multi-dimensional,
and would be a legitimate experience, So
yeah, it's got to be hard to then like have to go like write a book from a completely different perspective and then try to like relive hopping back into the shoes of Mara, right?
Yeah. Right. It's much easier the second time around. I will say that. Yeah. So when I wrote, it is being a challenge for me right now as I'm starting book 3. I'm a 3-4 chapters into it, but when I wrote the second book, it was one of those amazing experiences where I knocked out the entire second book in under 2 weeks. I wish I could do that every time,
Don't you, right?
But, yeah. But yeah, it just, that book wrote itself, and
yeah,
I was along for the ride, and I love it when that kind of inspiration happens. But yeah, you're right. It takes a mind shift to switch back into that. So
I've had that happen to me once as well. I wrote a whole book in like 2.5 weeks, and all I can say is if you're listening and you start to have that experience, just write it as far along as possible, because it's not it's not something that keeps going.
Right.
Unless maybe you're like Jay Krause and you're just machining.
Right.
Yeah, right. Like, man.
Oh, man.
All right. Keith's got a question for us. He wants to know what your process looks like asking for a friend.
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to it earlier in the conversation, but I'm somewhere between a plotter and a pantser. When I have an idea for a book, I have the idea, and I know where I want to go. I might have certain big scenes that I want to take place. And so typically I will have those things, and I will map out, okay, what's it going to take for the character to get from point A to point B to point C, and then I'll just write it. And so that's kind of my process in terms of how I go about creating a series or a story. With the exception, every now and then I'll get one of these, like book 2 of Sundered Soul, where it just 2 weeks and I didn't plot anything in that book hardly. It just wrote itself,
It just came out. Yeah. Does it happen often, or has it happened where your characters just surprise you, where you've kind of plotted where things should go and they just are like, nope, we're going left?
Oh yeah, big time. So book 2, Sundered Soul, it very much was that. I ended book 1, and I won't talk about how that book ends because I'm sure not everyone here's read it. But I started writing book 2 just from where book 1 left off, and Mara took that story places I didn't expect it to go. It became very much more human in book 2. I mean, obviously, she's losing her vampire abilities in book 1, but she becomes much more human in book 2, not just from a physiological standpoint, And then in AI Apocalypse, actually, the character of Vicky really surprised me in that story. I didn't originally intend to have her in there, but I got to writing book 1 of that series, and I don't remember how many chapters in, but I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is darker than I want it to be, and it's too much just this one guy in his own head. I needed something else, and so I I dropped this other character in there, not thinking that she was necessarily going to be a permanent character in the thing, but she just kind of wrote herself as well, and really surprised me and became a fan favorite in that series. So
Yeah, it's incredible how sometimes the moments where the characters yank you, grab the steering wheel and yank, end up being the more memorable moments where people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." It's like, oh, I don't blame that, but yeah, it is.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
those moments. I mean, those are the inspiration, right? Those are
Mhm. It's
the things
muse
that
is
hit.
touching you on the forehead. Yeah.
Right.
Keith wants to know, do you normally write a series at a time? I mean, would that be your maybe preferred way of doing it? Is just having one series to focus on?
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely would, and I regret having two going at once right now, because it's hard to make that shift between one series and the next. So
Yeah. Uh,
plus two, if you're only writing one, then the fans of that one are going to be satisfied more because it'll be, they'll be coming out more frequently, and
yeah.
there's not going to be a divide of your attention.
Yeah. Well, and there's the whole change in the horse like cost too, that you just, no matter how focused you are, when you hop
Yeah,
over, it's going to take a little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Keith also wants to know, do you ever change where a book ends and the next book begins because of where the story took you?
Hmm. I
It's
don't
a
know if
good
I've done
question,
that.
Keith. You're making us think.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I've done that or not. Kind of. I just mentioned the Sundered Soul book two taking me places I didn't expect. I ended book one exactly where I intended to end book one, but when I had that inspiration and I just started writing book two, it kind of took off and ran on its own. So
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. You're like, well, book two ended someplace I wasn't expecting because we didn't even, we weren't on the map. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, it's crazy how fast time flies. We're almost at the hour.
Right. I know.
Yeah. It was a good conversation. Good audience questions, you guys. A
Yeah.
plus on the audience. So,
Right.
right. Tell me, so you've got at least one book coming out before Lit RPG Con.
Mhm.
So the next book is going to be Sundered Soul book 3, was it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Sundered Soul book three, probably mid May. AI Apocalypse 5, before the con. I don't know how soon before the con, but it should be out before the
Yeah.
convention.
That's exciting. Yeah. So no matter which series you're here to listen about, you're gonna have a treat before Lit RPG Con. So, what's the best way for fans to follow you? Discord, Facebook, Patreon. What are your socials that you prefer people to follow you
So
on?
yeah, Facebook I'm probably the most active on. I'm checking that daily. I am on Discord, but I frequently go days, sometimes weeks, without remembering to check it.
My advice
Uh,
is contact him on Facebook over Discord.
right, right. I do have a Patreon. I'm just really kind of just getting started on Patreon. Only created it a couple of months ago. I had tried to do Ream, which is they build themselves as Patreon for authors, but I just found that very few people wanted to
Join it.
support authors there. It was
Yeah.
hard to get fans to go there. So I recently moved over to Patreon, and I'm just getting that started. Right as I was getting that going, book 4 of AI Apocalypse had to be published, and so I had to stop uploading chapters for that book because I had to publish it. So I'm about to start uploading the first versions of the Sundered Soul 3 chapters. Because that's what I usually do, like early access on my Patreon.
Yeah, it is crazy how like multi-threaded authors have to be these days,
Oh
between the
yeah.
different marketing avenues and
Mhm.
Facebook posts plus writing the book and editing and all the rest of it. It's
Yeah,
wild. So yeah.
absolutely.
So I have this tradition of asking everybody what is a book that you would recommend and it put on Pop Pop's TBR. But really it's just what is a book that you would tell other people to go read right now?
Not my own is what you're meaning, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously we want everybody to
Right,
read yours, but
right.
what is somebody else's book that you would recommend for folks?
Wow. That's that's a good question. I mean,
What's the last
I
good
love
book
my
you read?
fellow authors here. I'm always gonna push, Sean Wilson, Ultimate Level One, Hunter Mythos, any of his stuff. So many more. I mean, all of you guys.
The community
It's
loves
hard,
each
it's
other,
hard to
right?
pick and
Yeah, like
choose
we're
among the lit RPG, just because
yeah,
there's we're all friends, right?
yeah, yeah. Let's go for a non-lit RPG book. What would be your like general?
Mm. Wow. I mean, Robert Jordan, he was my inspiration. So
Yeah.
I'm always going to recommend him. Or uh, I've got his stuff on my shelf over there. You don't see his stuff much these days, but Stephen Burst's Jerrig and that series, um, it was. I mean, when I read that, when I was younger, it was very different than the other stuff I had read. It was a lot of fun to read.
Is it
Um,
Steven or Phen?
uh, Steven.
Steve. Got it.
Which also is on my wall back here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll check that out. That's a recommendation I haven't heard before, so we'll have to go check it out. There's so many gems out there that people just don't know about.
oh yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
I mean, talk about authors being lost to time, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is one of them. He was pretty popular back in the day, and I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed his books. You just don't hear about a lot of these guys from back then. Oh, Catherine Kurtz. That's
Mm.
another. Um, the
Yeah.
the Camber of Claudie series, or however you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Welsh names, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Catherine Kurtz is a good, nice, like, classic suggestion as well. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We're definitely gonna have to have you again once you get through this next cycle. I'm excited to meet you at Lit RPG Con. Lit
Yeah.
RPG Con is gonna be just a party.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
Well, we met last year, but we didn't really have a chance to talk much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like,
hopefully we'll get a chance this year. So
yeah, I remember like when I was like, okay, who's David Baxter? I saw your face. I'm like, yes. Like we've
yeah. Yeah.
said a few words to each other, but yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely. You
yeah.
can also catch me at Comic Palooza
Yeah.
at the end of May as well. So
Yeah, Rachel Cooper's going to be there as well. Matt
Mhm.
Denneman. If you're in Texas, you should think about Comic Palooza because it sounds like there's going to be some lit RPG presence there. So,
Yep.
my next show is going to be tomorrow with Pop Pop. We've got James Hunter coming on, and we'll see if all three of us can survive that. So join me tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll be back here on Beyond Quests on Wednesday with Sove Rights or AJ Drummond and his Jim Butcher-esque like dark fantasy. So if you like Jim Butcher, join me on Wednesday because you're going to want to meet AJ Drummond. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Go read Sundered Soul. You will not regret it. All right.
Right.
Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you all.